Powell. Folks, do you understand what's going on here? Do you understand what is going on here? First of all, in the big picture, okay, you have an orthodoxy, monetarism, which I call a mental illness. You have an orthodoxy which is deeply, deeply embedded in the economics profession and all the way up to the policy level, basically globally, everywhere, okay? And the crazy thing about this orthodoxy is that the proponents of this belief system, this orthodoxy, which is basically everybody, they don't understand how it functions. They have it backward. Yet it is completely embedded, as I said, into the profession of economics and at the highest levels of policy, national policy, central bank policy. I mean, it's unbelievable. So here you have a guy, Powell, sitting there. First of all, a guy who was nominated by President Trump. Basically, Trump gave him his job. And now Trump is here for a second term. And Trump has every right to say, I don't think you're doing a good job. And Powell knows that by legal statute, Trump can't fire him. That's a separate thing. He knows that. He's a lawyer. He knows that. But like, if you don't have the confidence of your boss gave you that job. And now he's saying, I think you're doing a terrible job. I don't want you there. And you just dig in your heels stubbornly, kind of, like almost vindictive in a sense. Now, here's the thing. If Powell had the understanding correctly, all right, and I'm talking about he keeps alluding to potential inflationary impact from the tariffs. And I said in my last video and in a prior videos, I said, and other people have been saying this too now, okay? It's not just me. It's not just me. Other people, and I said in my last video, I mean, they're literally almost using my exact words. It's not for him to get up in front of a podium and say, we're worried because maybe this thing is going to happen, or maybe this other thing is going to happen. That's not his job to do that. I mean, they have forecasters at the Fed. Every Federal Reserve Bank, they employ teams of economists who, I sometimes mention the Atlanta Fed, GDP Now, and stuff like that. They got economists employed at the Fed who, that's their job. I mean, they work these numbers up. But I mean, as the leader of the Fed, as the Fed chief, the chairman of the FOMC, it's not his job to come out and say that maybe it's going to be like this or maybe it's going to be like that. But here's the big thing that I want to say, or the most important thing, which ties into my intro into this video, when I said the entire foundation of their understanding is wrong. Like, if he's really worried about inflation, yet his approach to tackling inflation is literally raising the price, because that's what interest rate adjustments are. They're price adjustments. And again, you don't have to take my word for it. We see this. We see this everywhere, all over the world. I keep mentioning Argentina, Turkey, the Euro area right now, where 7 rate cuts are resulting in lower inflation. Japan, which had literally zero inflation during the pandemic when they had rates at 0 or negative. Now they're raising rates and inflation is coming back. I mean, we see this all over. This is the frustrating part. I mean, whether or not Trump understands this, and I don't think he does, actually. I think Trump, as a businessman, especially as a real estate guy, he's thinking like, we got to cut rates because that's going to stimulate the economy. Actually, it's not, okay? Again, rate cuts, I've said this a million times, they're price adjustments and they're fiscal operations. And on the rate cut side, when you cut rates, the fiscal operation there is the removal of interest income. Takes it away. Takes it away. Takes income away. It's a drain. Okay? And, you know, it's one thing to argue like, oh, if the price is lowered, if the general price level is lowered because you cut interest rates, that's going to be a stimulus, right? Because now the price is down. Yeah, but if you're taking people's income away at the same time, or at least some income is also drained from the economy, and the economy, the non-government, I should say, is a net creditor. You might say, Mike, what are you talking about, a net creditor? We all have debts. No, we own 36 trillion of treasuries, right? That's the big freaking, the national debt that they always talk about. We own that collectively. The globe is holding 36 trillion, right? Because they always say the government's in debt. The government's the debtor. Supposedly, we own the treasury, so we're the creditor. It's a net drain. You follow me? That's how come when this nincompoop Powell raised rates from 2022 to 24, 2 years, the economy went up. The stock market went up, new all-time highs, one after another, after another, after another. And inflation came down a little bit because the COVID pandemic ended and the supply chain basically got freed up again. But he keeps talking about stubborn inflation because if you keep the general price level high as a result of your interest rate policy, what do you expect? What do you expect? Now, I've said a million times on this channel and in my writings and everything, a bad belief system is like a disease in the body. If you don't kill the disease, it's going to kill the body. And this is exactly what this mentality is. And not that any other Fed chairman is going to know any better, because as I said in the beginning, this is embedded into the whole entire economics profession and elsewhere. I mean, Powell's not even an economist, and he has this mentality. He has this understanding. He has understanding in quotes. He has this mythology baked into him like everybody else. So you're not going to get a big change, but it's not only that bothers me. It's the way the guy communicates, adding unnecessary volatility and uncertainty, needless uncertainty. He shouldn't be saying stuff like this. If I was there, right, I would just be saying, look, we're going to follow the data and we're going to react to conditions. And I would also explain that raising rates doesn't squash inflation, and cutting rates is not bearish for the currency. Everybody's mind would be blown. Can you imagine? I'd probably get fired for saying stuff like that, because it would be all over every freaking news channel, every business show. They'd be saying, this guy, Mike Norman, Fed chairman, he's a freaking idiot. He doesn't know anything. But I would be right. But that's what they would be saying. So I've been around. I've been in this business since Volcker. Actually, when I was getting out of college, it was like, Arthur Burns. So how many Fed chair? Burns, Volcker, Greenspan, Bernanke, Yellen, this guy, what, 5 different ones now? And if you include, Burns, did I say Burns? 5 or 6? That's a lot, man. Now, I think Volcker was the word. I think if you want to talk about, it is a separate topic, but I mean, if you want to talk about what Trump's trying to do to reindustrialize America, Volcker destroyed the industrial base, because when he jacked interest rates up to 21%, yeah, it was great for savers. It transferred like tons of money into, the hands of savers, people, who were on fixed income or had fixed income investments like that. But it destroyed the industrial base. Factories couldn't compete. That's what started the whole thing. And Volcker's policies destroyed the industrial base. So maybe Trump's thinking like that. I don't know, man. I don't know. But look, I'm not in favor of this tariff. I think this whole tariff thing is, let's put it this way. I never would have done it. I said to you guys many, many times, we were getting the better end of the deal. There might be some industries we want to protect for national security, like steel and things like this. Sensitive, strategic things, I could understand. But consumer goods? Are you freaking kidding me? Who wants to work in a factory making, we got the Chinese over there slaving away at slave wages, like in sweatshops, laboring, toiling, using their resources, despoiling their environment to produce high quality finished goods that we get here cheap for. We push a button on the computer and send them some money. Electrons, basically electrons. Why upset the apple cart? Why do you want to blow that whole thing up? In this day and age, you're really talking about people want to go back to the factory with their lunch pails and the whistle blows at 5 p.m. Is that really where we want to go back to? The 19th century, the early 20th century? Anyway, most factories nowadays, most modern factories, they're run by robots. And that's just gonna keep on going that way. So I don't know what he's talking about. Creating jobs, how, man? Let those guys do it. That wouldn't be my policy. But I'm not in charge. But I think it was a big mistake. I don't know if it was inherently a Trump idea or he got sold on this by his advisors. I'm not a big fan of Lutnick. I'm not a big fan of this other guy, this trade advisor. I always forget his name because I have no use for these guys. And I kind of vacillate on Bessent. Some days I think Bessent is kind of like the calming voice that we need. And then other days, I just think he sounds like a fool. So the thing is, it is what it is, to use a very overused expression, and we just have to stay calm. Look, when you stay calm, it's like fighting, man. It's like jiu-jitsu or boxing. You got to stay loose. You got to stay calm. That's when you see your openings. That's when you see your opportunities. When you tense up, you gas out. It's what I have a kind of like a habit of doing when I spar. But it's normal because you get hit. Look, I'm telling you guys, it's normal. And I'll use the boxing analogy. Like I was saying to my coach the other day, not really a coach, but a guy, the gym owner. I'm like, I could dance around in the ring shadow boxing all day long. I don't get gassed out. It doesn't matter. I could go for hours. He's like, Mike, that's nothing. You're not getting hit. When you get hit, you tense up. Your breathing gets interrupted. It's not fluid. It's not, rhythmic. You got to stay loose. even when you get hit. And the same thing in what we're doing. These markets can make you very emotional. I know that. I've been doing this a long time. And one of the things I try to help you guys with is reining in that emotion, controlling that emotion. But it's like being in that boxing ring or rolling in a jiu-jitsu gym. When I used to do jiu-jitsu, I tried to use my strength. I was tight. And if I rolled with guys at a higher level, they'd submit me like in 20 seconds. They'd see their openings, you know. So same thing here. We know what's going on. We know what's going on. We know the policies that are in place. You're going to have headlines. You got to just step back, relax, stay cool, stay loose, and everything's going to be okay. All right? We'll navigate. We'll navigate. We're like mariners on the open seas. We got to marinate. Not marinate. We got to navigate, not marinate. We got to navigate our way through what is out there ahead of us. Anyway, I just want to put this out there. Have a good evening. I'll see you tomorrow. Bye.